Hello, how you doing, people out there? This is SNN, that stands for Street News Now. Six Guys and You. We congregate every Thursday evening. That's 9 p.m. on the East Coast and 8 p.m. on the Central Time. And of course, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Make sure you go to YouTube and type in SNN, Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share, because sharing is caring. Also, catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. As we congregate as the masters of intellectual chaos, we have, I guess, three of us total. The other three will be here. Share Mementos, our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, is on assignment. That means he ain't showing up. So we're going to continue the show anyway as we bring on one of the masters of intellectual chaos, Dr. Ron Ford.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you, sir?
And I'm good, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm ready to chop it up and make it do what it do.
All right, then. Keep that energy, doctor. There's nothing
Yes,
wrong
sir.
with that.
Yes, sir.
And of course, we bring on the professor who always has a topic when it comes down to our people, Professor Reggie Miles.
Me?
That's you. Right.
Is that my cue? Is that my cue?
Yeah, that's your cue, sir. Right.
All right. Good to be here. Thank you, Dr. Ron and Brother Bass. Glad to be on the throne. I mean, it's something. I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock.
And why are you in shock, Professor?
We are one step closer to being a human being.
I did not know that.
They put it on the table that they can no longer hang us when we get ready. When they get ready.
Racist white folk must be spinning around their graves and stomping on the ground and everything. How dare they?
I can imagine them in a room talking now. That doggone Joe Biden, if he does it, I was, oh man. Oh boy. 200 times they had to consider whether my life is worth it.
Man, we got to definitely talk about that. That's definitely it's worth a conversation 200 times. I mean, good night. Let's also bring in another brother, brother Buck Wilde. What's up, Buck? I can't hear you, man. Let's see, get you something. You got it now? Okay. Well, yeah, so we still can't hear you, man. We'll keep working on it. We'll get you in time. All right, so let's not waste any more of digits when it comes to the clock. Let's go immediately to Dr. Ron Ford and his continuing topic when it comes to justice concerned. Mr. and Dr. You got all these different titles. I'm going to call you anymore. Ron, Dr. Ron Ford, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. You know, during Black History Month, you know, I spoke about many of the topics that took place during the march in 1963. We had the list of demands that were presented to the government to be at that time. Well, fast forward to current day. One of the things that that concerned me immediately after we had our first female vice president of color. And I was like, man, this is a golden opportunity to approach and talk about justice. So, being the concerned citizen that I am, I reached out to my elected official, Mr. Dick Durbin, who now sits as chair of the Judiciary Committee, along with Cory Booker as co-chair. And I wanted to talk to them, and I posed the question to them: what would justice reform really look like? And I presented to them some documentation about that. And one of the things that I wanted to address tonight, because I talked about it before, but I don't feel like I can talk about it enough, because it is a concern of mine. If we're going to have justice reform in the United States, I think we need to start on a federal level, because there are some things that the federal government can do that would begin to, allow other people to follow their example as citizens or cities or governments, smaller governments in the United States. And it fits right in with what's going on in the world today. But let me just mention a few of these things. It's not many of them. I'm going to just address what justice reform would look like. In 1868, the United States Constitution, under the 14th Amendment, guarantees equal protection of the law to all people in the United States. Visit this amendment to allow all people of color to get not just protection, but justice as well. That would be number one. Number two, stop making people guilty and forcing pleas down on people. Let people have a fair day in court, period. Period. Reform for people that were forced into the system. Allow federal cases to be sealed by courts. Allow to remove arrest records, period. Offer release review for many people that did not need to be in jail, period. A person should not have to address a sitting president to get a pardon to get his or her life back, period. Now, these are some of the things that could look like justice reform on a federal level. Now, what I mean by some of these things is like, just to name an example, the federal court system has one of the most successful plead guilty systems in place, because anybody that gets arrested on a federal charge doesn't have the money to fight the federal court system to prove their innocence. So if you are cramming plea deals down people's throats and they have to take them, then of course, they did not get their fair day, their day in court to be able to, defend themselves. But the justice system allegedly wins in that situation. They're taking people off the street. Um, it's not fair for a person to have been through the system. He served his time, and now you have to get a presidential pardon in order to get your record sealed, taken away, so you can get your life back. Because if you had to cop out to a case in the first place, and now if you don't have a personal relationship with the president or close enough to the president, then that record, there's no, like on state cases, there's a sealing or a spungement. There's opportunities available to get your life back. You don't have that opportunity on a federal level. So those are things that I'm mentioning that could be done on a federal level. And since we have Democrats in power, we have two of the leading members of the Judiciary Committee that can present this out of committee into conversation to start looking for fair ways to be able to present an opportunity to bring a justice reform, because that's what we're talking about, justice reform. And as of yet, and we're a year into the current administration, and none of these topics have been brought up, talked about, even considered. So I don't think justice reform is really a real issue on the agenda any of these people that are, representing themselves as, oh, we're for the people and we want to see fair and just things. Just like I talked about the 14th Amendment. You can amend the 14th Amendment, to represent, justice for colored people, not just limit what they're saying, equal protection. Okay. But we don't have equal justice, let alone equal protection. So I throw this out to my brothers. This is something that has been on the forefront of my mind for a period of time. I've actually taken this conversation to Dick Durbin. I've actually taken it to Cory Booker. I actually sent copy of my recommendation to the sitting vice president, and I did have a meeting just as a follow-up conversation to the senator from Illinois, and his staff gracefully gave me a spin move. It's like, oh, sure, great conversation. I said, would you be willing to come on my show and talk about this? We got 6 guys and you. We would love to chop it up with the senator. You just send us a special request and we'll make sure that it gets through. And not gonna happen, because it's not a priority to the government that's sitting. So my rant for this week, I think I'm gonna, when I get an opportunity to keep talking about justice not being, fair or equal, especially on a federal level or local levels, my brothers.
There is no such thing as justice when it comes to us.
Amen.
Never will be. And I think that there's nothing wrong with fighting, but at the same time, will the end game justify the means? When you have people who are in places of power, whether it's politics or, dare I say, law enforcement, and it's thoroughly infiltrated through institutionalized racism, that's a hard battle to climb. I'm not saying that you should not acknowledge it, but at the same time, you're talking about years and years, and dare I say, decades and decades of institutionalized racism. So in the minds of certain people who are racist, we're not even human beings. We're still property. We're still cattle. We're still subhuman. They would give more credence to a dog before they do us.
Now you going.
That's true. Oh yeah.
No, really. I mean, we're talking about real talk here. So the thing about it is that the fight has to continue, but do we get any real power by fighting? And the thing about it, it's stacked against us so tremendously. I'm not saying give up the ghost. I'm just saying, look what's ahead of you before you start this battle. Decades and decades, and even passed down generational wise, because anything through power is given to the next generation of a family. Even as something as simple as if you own, say, a sports franchise, say, in football, who is it passed down to? Those sons and daughters and people like that, and they keep it going. And the same thing with racism, and the same thing with politics, and the same thing with law enforcement. It's passed down. That's a hard fight.
And the thing is, I don't think we have ever had any starting point for anything that what we've done since we've been here to be passed down. What have we had to be passed down? I still don't know that yet.
Did anybody see the lawyer who she was a female, young female, dressed like an attorney? She went to court, and the bailiff was like, "I don't see you on the docket." They had mistaken her for a defendant, and she's a lawyer, and so she kind of she went on TikTok and and ranted about it. But she's like, "Why do you think they had mistaken me for a defendant?" it's institutional, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. You
I'm
know,
go- I'm going to see I'm going to see the I'm going to St. Louis, I think, for Memorial Day. I'm gonna try to get down there, but I'm hoping to get down there. But cause I gotta see that monument on Dred Scott, right? I gotta get down there to visit that monument because according to Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, I remember that decision in the case. Y'all know how many times I've said that a black man has no rights to which a white man is bound to respect. And you all have heard me say many, 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 many times, I don't want to be black. I want to be a human being. I don't want that classification on me, because if I'm classified as a black man, automatically, according to those that I empower, a black man has no rights to which a white man is bound to respect. So give me another title, baby. I'm like, whoa.
You know,
I'd like to bring up. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
go ahead, Buck.
Oh, I just want to say something real quick. We think it's just like this in the United States because this is where we live, but black people have it hard all over the world. They're dealing with this in all kinds of wherever they're black people, except maybe outside of Africa. Let's just say, I'm just saying not all of Africa because Africa is a big continent, but Europe, the Caribbean, anywhere there are black people, they have to deal with this same thing.
Yeah, and because we understand the environment that we're in, and then what we've grown up in and what we've been exposed to, we can't stop saying it. We got to keep on saying it. Just like you said, Chris, it's institutional racism, and it's passed on from generation to generation. Like we spoke about it during Black History Month. I brought it up when a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old grows up in a family and their parents are constantly telling them that you're better than them, you're smarter than them, and you get to piss on them, every chance you get, and here's some trigger words that you can say, that will cause them to, that will cause them to react a certain way, which will keep them as the animals that they are in an animal's place. But like Chris also said, they treat animals better. If you look at, and I don't care where you live in the country, as the nighttime gets past midnight, they start putting on their television all of these animal rescue commercials where they've gone in and they got these Caucasians going in talking about how sad it was to find these dogs chained and hungry and disease filled, and we need your support to help these animals. But you've got children in your urban areas that deserve the right to be able to be treated fairly and treated with some kind of humanity, as the professor just said, humanity, and they choose not to. Case in point.
But to be fair though, Ron, there are a lot of those kind of commercials for African relief for the children in not necessarily just
which is
Africa,
a lie too, but that's a different show.
saying,
yeah, because that's those ministries that trying to get money, and they use a 1959 commercial of some Ethiopian child but that's a
I
different
mean, I
show.
don't know.
Yeah, but just as a point, okay, we in the United States have been waiting on the Republicans to sign a bill or pass a bill or send a bill up to Washington, D.C., okay, to help seniors and help people that are in need in this country. Okay. Today, as Chris and I were talking earlier about breaking news, today they are sitting on a $16 billion relief package for Ukraine. Now, if we ain't got no money to help the people in this country, where we gonna get $16 billion to send weapons and aid to some Caucasians? Now, I said Caucasians, white tea, as the professor would say, over in an Eastern Bloc country. Now, I'm finna get in trouble because they got troubles over there. They got drama over there. They got a lot of problems over there. But when we had Haitians show up at our borders that needed help and relief, they put them on an airplane and sent them back to Haiti.
Out of here.
Without hesitation. And every redneck, yeah, I said redneck, down in Texas, got on a horse and was riding like they was in a rodeo. Okay? Trying to abuse people from a black nation. Come on now. I'm not making this up. Okay? This is reality of what we see. Overt racism.
And it looks kind of odd how they treat Haitian immigrants versus, say, even Cuban immigrants. And and the Cuban immigrants, this is the crazy part. A lot of those Cuban immigrants look just like the Haitians. A lot of them are dark. They look like my uncle now. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting.
Newsflash. We all came from the motherland, the continent of Africa. Okay, so yes, we're going to resemble where we came from. So I mean, the cry for justice, which is the only thing I'm talking about, fair and equal treatment, okay, is universal. Like Buck said, universal, across the world. Like we saw last week and the week before, they had brown and black medical students that they would not let out of the country because they wanted to make sure the women and the children got out of there first. Okay, and now here
that'll hurt your feelings too when you see that.
Yeah, man. Nigerian,
really?
India, they've come to treat and to learn how to treat sick people. They didn't come there to be no, guerrilla warfare. And then they made them people stay on the train platform. They had to show up every day until they got on the train. Now, I saw, I want to say a couple of days ago, the first of those interns that finally got out of there. And one of the news reporters said, have you called your parents yet to let them know that you are free? And, and he's like, man, no. And here's the reporter, that offered up his cell phone to be able to call his family and let them know, hey, I made it out. That was a humanitarian effort. Now, he ain't talking about feeding no little fat, Ethiopian kids, but that was a humanitarian effort. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, now justice worldwide, man, is a big old question mark as far as I'm concerned, and anywhere that you have, European influence, it has affected how we, people of color, get treated worldwide. So I mean, I can't say it no nicer than that, but that's the facts.
the interesting thing is that some people will look at it like how they see it, and they don't really quite see it as based on race. Like, okay, for example, one of the reasons I love Canada is Canada has instead of saying minority, they have a distinction called visible minority, which means that if people look at you and see that you are a minority, and just by your looks, aka African, Asian, whatever kind of visible minority that you are, that that qualifies you as a minority. And if you're not, then if you can pass, you ain't no minority. And I like that. But what I'm saying is that if you ask those Ukrainians that were doing that stupid stuff, why they did it, and it would probably be something along the lines of, we want to let our citizens out first because they're our citizens, because it's our country. Sort of like a America first, there's like a Ukraine first. And they know that the likelihood of there being an African Ukrainian is probably slim to none. So if you were asking them, that's what they'd probably say. But I mean, wrong is wrong, and we know that. It's not, a big secret. But it might have just been a simple fact that they want to get their own people out first because it's their country, and it's unfortunate. But because how many of those students probably were there? Probably not a lot.
No,
it's unfortunate.
I understood they had quite a few 100,000 throughout the country. I ain't talking
No,
about
but I mean at
just
the
the
train station. No, I'm saying at the train station.
Yeah, throughout different parts of the country trying to get out. Because they depending on which news network you looked at, they followed them through different regions of the country, because as the Russians kept pushing forward, they were concerned, like, man, we're gonna get slaughtered up in here, because it ain't no large black populations in Russia. That ain't no secret. Okay, they might have a few.
But you know what? The interesting thing, and I just thought about this while you were talking, Ron, that maybe there's a blessing in disguise here in that the Russians aren't targeting those Negroes. Like, they're looking for the Ukrainians. I'm just saying they want to kill Ukrainians. They know those Africans are not Ukrainians.
Everything.
I mean, I don't know. That's an assumption.
Yeah.
And I'm not Russian or Ukrainian, and I'm not there.
Man, look,
and I don't want to be there.
First of all, they dropping bombs on everything. Okay, they ain't doing no hand.
But it's not just the bombs, though. I mean, they're killing civilians over there.
Yeah,
it's not just bombs. It's not bombs. It's not just bombs. It's not just bombs.
Bombs on a hospital that was set up for pregnant women and children.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Okay, they wasn't in there shooting them. They were dropping bombs. They targeted them. They targeted that hospital. Okay, and then their justification was, we killed the women and the children, and then the bloodline will die.
Do you think, and when this is all said and done, that Russia's going to get hit with war crimes?
They're already building a case for that now.
They need to, and that would be, yeah, Jed. That's exactly what I was thinking, Jed. It's like if they don't charge them with war crimes, I mean, that could be devastating for Russia, and it needs to be, because this is all some BS that they're doing right here. So
yeah,
I mean,
and it's not going to be over anytime soon. Russia's having a hard time, conquering them. First of all, they're having a hard time. It's not going to be a pushover. And
a lot harder than they thought.
Well, guess what? I don't know if y'all saw this today, as Chris and I were talking about earlier today. Breaking news. They have Americans that are civilians that have now landed on the ground to fight side by side with the Ukrainians.
That's interesting.
Very interesting. You know, so some of them rednecks, they've been practicing militia tactics, militarily trained, quote
They
unquote.
they might not be rednecks, Ron. That's not
Did
fair.
you see the video
I mean, I don't
when
know.
they landed?
I
I'm just
don't
asking.
know.
Did
I
you
don't
see?
know. That's a
It
stretch,
wasn't
though,
no
bro.
black people in that
But
landing.
just because they're not black doesn't mean they're rednecks. Come on.
Okay, you know your political
That was a good one,
views
though.
are your
That was a good
political
one.
views.
That was a good one, though. But yeah, I mean, come on.
You know, but I'm looking at what I'm looking at, and as they quote unquote said, they said these were all militarily trained guys that are civilians now that just want to help freedom. Code word. Okay, that was the code word that they use. Freedom. Help them fight for freedom. Now, could they be, you know, CIA operatives? You know? Professor? Could they be? They very well could be. Okay, you know. So, hey, I don't think I got no more breaking news, Chris.
Yeah, let me tell the people real quick why I can't stand the title breaking news. Everything is not breaking damn news. If I stop the show right now, the show ends in a couple, you know, at 10, you know, local time as far as Central Time, and I go stub my foot, it's not breaking news. It's not. It really isn't. If it's going to rain and my knee hurts, it's not breaking news. So everything is not breaking news, and it's been bastardized throughout the news system because I said this before, and I'll say it publicly again. I believe breaking news is always sponsored. You can't come out and say breaking news or saying it is sponsored by Arm & Hammer. You can't say that. That's not cool. So what you do is you'll just say breaking news, and probably the first spot when you finish with it is probably the sponsor, because that has been going on too long. So breaking news is a sponsored product. It's a product placement. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Or
that's what I think it is.
Or they, you know, it's a catchphrase. You know, they're trying to get people's attention. You know what I mean? Hey, look what just happened! Extra, read all about it. And you know, it's like, really, it's the same shit from yesterday. It's like, really, come on.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the green room before the start of the show, and that's why I kind of, you know, kept bringing it up, you know, periodically, because it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So I need a sponsor now, right? Is that what you saying?
Yeah, breaking news, right? When you have a breaking news, you got to be sponsored.
Brought to you by.
You can't tell nobody it's sponsored. You know, right? Yeah, that's bad form.
Even my favorite newscaster, Lester Holt, starts off every newscast, and I know you guys know Lester from Chicago.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I like him because he's from the Bay Area and my hometown. But I mean, every night, really? It's like, dude, hey, listen, this week I had to make a conscious effort to take a break from the news.
I caught that on social media, yeah.
Bro, I mean, I would DVR every newscast, so I would watch the news like all day long.
Yeah.
And after a while, I started feeling myself being real anxious and almost borderline depressed. I'm like, you know what? I'm not good. And here's the worst part. It's the same news over and over and over again. I'm just like...
Yeah, and you know why that is. You know, all of us have been in the business long enough to know that you have to shape and control the thought process of the public. So you have to point them in the direction you want them to go in. So, you know, one of the things that I like about what we do is we break away from the normal news, and we bring things that we want people to have a thought process of their own about. You know, we're not sitting in that mold or that rut that says, well, we want you to continue thinking that number 45 is the best thing since sliced bread, you know, on one network might feel, you know, but
no, we're a food for thought show.
Yeah. But we also want people, right, to think about what we're saying, and wherever they take it to the next level. Or if they don't take it nowhere at all, You know, that's fine too. But we're not in that rut of saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Except for me. I'm gonna
Right.
say the same
Over and over and over.
over and over and over and over again, and then say it again.
We got an exception for you, Professor. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
we understand that you work at an educational institution, and the only way to teach the kids is to repeat it over and over.
You know
and
what? That's a
over
good question,
again.
Professor. And does it irritate you having to teach the same thing over and over again every single year? Like,
Nope.
I mean, the same way. Does that kind of get on your nerves?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope.
No. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Professor.
Go ahead, babe.
No, I want to say this real quick. I'm going to throw it to you, Professor, for what you're going to say over and over again. I'm just kidding. No, I'm going to throw it to you in a second, but I have to dovetail on what Dr. Ron said about the infomercials about dogs. Dogs and cats. He's absolutely correct. And no, and if you're a cat and dog lover, I don't mind. That's God bless your ministries. I don't knock you for that, and that's great. But the point being, going back to what Dr. Ron said about the compassion for an animal and non-compassion for humans. Now, it is interesting because when you watch these infomercials, they do pull on your heartstrings. There was one dog one, about, and don't get me wrong, rescuing dogs is great and admirable. Then they put that sobbly sob music behind it, in the arms of an angel. Oh my God. I mean, no offense. I mean, I'm like, good God Almighty. Holy smokes and Jesus. I get it. But, we're talking about, no offense, I get it. But the only thing I see about human beings, go back to what you said earlier about an Ethiopian situation that happened years ago, and they use old footage, or a baby with a cleft in their mouth. And that's about it. When it comes to us, nothing. And another thing we have to be cognizant of, we can't expect everybody to help us.
Yeah.
We got to stop doing that. I mean, I know we sometimes in dire straits, we go to the government or we go to get a handout or help. We don't need that. We need to be more self-sufficient. Yes, Professor.
We need to get some clarification.
Sure.
Because listen, y'all keep saying government, but what about the government?
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it.
See, now that's a Negro phrase. Government.
Yeah, I mean, has either one been beneficial to us in regards to self-sufficiency? Base. No. I think that when we do start talking about self-sufficiency among us doing something, we're always going to get someone from the peanut gallery in our own community that's going to say, oh, no, N-word. Oh, no, cotton picker. Ain't no need of you talking like that. We're going to be the first one to say, anytime we begin to talk about self-sufficiency, one of our cotton-picking brethren are going to be the first one to pull us back from trying to go forward. So everybody knows that in math, that +1 and a -1 equals 0. So we're gonna be. So we're gonna be in this. We're gonna be in this same standstill position. Our people are both engines and anchors at the same time. You understand?
Yes.
We will drop anchor on ourselves in a minute because some of us are profiting from whatever it is. We're profiting. And that, let me just jump back to this war thing. I mean, who about to make money off of this war? I mean, who about to make money off of this war?
Right.
Who is it? Who's going to make money?
I'm wondering what the answer is.
The international bankers, man, because they funding both sides.
Yeah, you can't. It's a win-win situation, literally.
Yeah. So I mean, I wanted.
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
I
Look,
keep-
and somebody's paying for those weapons
hey,
that we shipping over there
hey,
at $16 billion. Somebody picking up that price tag, and NATO, we ain't heard none of those countries.
wait a minute. Did
Hold,
you
hold,
say Nate O? I saw him on 63rd.
Yeah, I know Nato Jenkins. That's my cousin, right?
Look, I ain't
Yeah,
heard
Nato
none.
still owes me money, man.
Yeah, none of them talking about paying for none of these weapons that's getting ready to go over there to help these people on the ground. Come on now.
So
Hold on real quick. I'm sorry. I have breaking news. Mike Love.
Oh,
Mike Love.
Look at you, cotton picker. Your breath hot.
and so I got to say this because Dr. Ron, you always draw me into it. So I got to go to Edwin Starr.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Come on now.
And I wanted to play it, but I keep forgetting we can't do nothing because of this digital rights thing.
Yeah, we'll get popped, right?
Yeah, but war.
What is it good for?
Dun, dun.
Absolutely
Nothing.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh.
So what is the humbug? What is the humbug going? What is it about? Reminds me of the other humbug that we had a few years back.
Excuse me, what was humbug again for us that are not quite so up on that language?
Getting ready to fight about something, fighting over nothing. You just buzz, and it ain't really no fight.
Yeah.
Like WDM. No, WMD, right? Or what is they? Yeah, WMD.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, you know that. You know it.
Yeah.
That's it, Buck. That's it. You hit it. Right? So
That's a humbug.
That was a humbug. They told us. Told us, right?
What they wanted us to know.
Yeah, they kept telling us that, and we got all hooped and hip. They got WMD. We got to go over there and get them. And
Yep.
come to find out that
They ain't had nothing.
They didn't never have anything.
Nothing at all.
Colin Powell said one of the saddest days of his life that he had to lie for the United States government.
He knew it was a lie.
Yeah.
But now listen now, and then let's put on our little thinking caps. I ain't talking about the one that goes that points up to the top, and that you get when you're sitting
The
on.
dunce cap.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that one. So, all while this stuff is going on about this WMD, right? Who was getting bankrolled? Who was bankrolling this? What family was profiting off of all of this stuff as far as oil, weapon, all this kind of stuff, man? The military
The
setup.
Bushes.
Yeah, man.
And
folks.
all they cronies.
That was my guess.
And they cronies, the Cheneys.
Now listen.
Cheney created Blackwater. Was it Blackwater? Black something.
Listen, to the tune of 400 years of generational wealth. Man, if some brothers can come up with a scheme like that, we be straight.
Well. The real reason
Buck,
why.
Hey, Buck, do me a favor. Hold on one second. I want to get in our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, to chime into the comment section. He asked the question, are the military equipment, weapons, ammunition, clothing, everything that goes into supplying a war?
Yep.
And then he goes into, of course, war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he heard me when I pulled off that Edwin Starr.
Right, but the real reason why Bush went after whatchamacallit, Osama,
Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden. Which one?
Saddam Hussein, because Saddam threatened to kill his father, so that it was revenge on against that.
Really? And so, in what episode of Fox News Now did you get that on? Let me go back to that one.
I don't watch Fox News. Come on.
Oh, whatever.
But
Whatever
that
news.
was the news cycle that they kept feeding us that perpetuated a lie.
I don't know if that was common knowledge. I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't
The
know.
media is the most powerful entity on earth because it
In the
has
United States, not necessarily on Earth.
on earth because it has the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. And I didn't make that up. Malcolm X.
Yep.
Malcolm X.
Yep.
But it's not
Every
free
time-
everywhere. The press is not free everywhere. A
It-
lot of
it
the
doesn't-
world,
and-
the press is
and guess
controlled.
what?
It's not an issue of whether press is free. It's about who controls the flow of information.
Exactly.
Has power. But
And-
I think
and-
that's
and-
I think that's changing though with the invention of the internet. The internet flows a lot quicker and more freely than the news does. So that may be changing. Just my opinion.
That could be both to the positive and
Negative. I was going to say, yeah, you're right.
positive
I
and
agree,
negative
I
side.
agree with that.
Okay. Now, me and Lee were just talking about this earlier this week. In Russia, they are not aware of what the progress is with this war because the media there is only giving out one script, one line of information. All internet has been cut off, so there is no internet information.
That was my next question.
If you ask the person on the street what's going on, they have no clue.
China
So-
censors the information, the internet too. They
So
block
when
a lot
you
of stuff.
start talking about countries outside the United States, we make a deal out of freedom of the press. Okay. And even that's flawed. Okay. That is flawed. Okay. Because they still censure what they want us to know and how they want to circulate it.
Look what Jed just said. The press lady just said the evidence that Russia is invading Ukraine is false because she said so. All right, Jed.
My mama used to say that because I said so.
Because I
Yeah.
said so.
That's right.
Right. That's right.
Because I said so.
So did Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So we don't get worldwide information, and Cuba did it. Cuba did the same thing. They didn't allow Cuba radio. The thing that helped Cuba out a lot in their revolutionary tactics is because they were close enough to the
Florida.
United States to be able to hear news from the United States and find out things. So, when you have a dictatorship and their constant agenda is going to be their constant agenda. It's not going to be, okay, we get both sides of the story. We're not going to get both sides of the story in other places in the world. We just know what they want us to know. And when we get glimpses of information from other places, then we add it all together. Like you say, the internet is a stream of information. But guess what? When you got places like Wikipedia that you can put on there anything you want to put on there without any proof,
I didn't know
and
there
they
was
call-
an L of Wikipedia, but okay.
whatever. You understood what I was talking about, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That
That
was
place.
funny. It was funny.
Yeah, that place. Okay. You can put any information you want on that website without proof or verification.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's interesting? It's just like we're going through kind of a revolution. It's sort of like when the printing press was first invented, right? So how Christianity kind of evolved was Martin Luther, and I know this because I'm Lutheran. Martin Luther was a Catholic monk, and he was looking through some of the teachings of the Catholic Church. He was like, wait a minute, ain't none of this in the Bible. So he made a list of 99 things that he knew that were wrong that the corporate Catholic Church, the corrupt Catholic Church were doing, and he posted it on the door of the church, which was the equivalent of like printing in the press, but there was no printing press back then, right? Just so happens right around that time, the printing press was invented. And so all of a sudden, somebody took the 99 things and started printing them up and spreading it around Europe. So for the people who could read, they were like, hey, this guy's right. So we're kind of, so, you know, you could say that was kind of the beginning of the information age. It was just in a different time period. But we're kind of in the same way where the media had control of what the public thought. But now the internet, even though, like you said, Ron, it is controlled in a lot of different areas of the world, particularly China and Russia, but not everywhere. Not everywhere.
Yeah, look, North Korea, you ain't gonna get no news in North Korea.
And North Korea, good example.
Yeah.
But those are only a few examples of the places that where there's censor like that, and largely communist countries. But what I'm saying is that there's a new day that's emerging with the internet. And mind you, like you said, Ron, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, like with Wikipedia, where there's a lot of, you know, evil and lies being spread. But point is that the day of the media controlling public opinion is pretty much coming to an end, and it's only older people.
Are you sure of that?
What do you mean?
Are you sure the day of the media controlling the minds of people is over? Are you sure of that?
I said no. I didn't say it's over. I said it's coming to an end.
You're saying that it's coming to an end
because the older people. Because it's only really the older people that are still watching traditional media. Young people, they get their news from this thing right here, from the internet.
You know, you would be a great salesman.
I hate sales.
You
have to lie a lot.
You would be a great salesman on the virtues and the values of this device or what have you. I'm not saying it's all good, Professor. I'm just saying that it's a different day and age. It's really not. We tend to want to think that, but the one thing that's certain is that, you know, it ain't nothing new under the sun. It's just just a different flavor, but it's really nothing new. You know, if you want to say something new, if you want to say that it's different. I mean, we got yellow journalism today, and yellow journalism existed over 100 years ago.
What's yellow journalism?
Lies. Sensationalism.
Well, yeah.
Hype.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing, but under a different name. Yeah. But we must never, ever forget the underlying motive for everything in this world, and that's that French girl.
Money, right? Absolutely, right.
Monet.
Which is why I had to kind of break away from the news for a little while. Like Chris, you said you read my post, Chris.
Yes.
You're there. The news only cares about one thing. They care about ratings, which equates to money, and that's why they use the tactic of scaring their public into watching them. Because they're so scared. Well, we'll watch us and we'll tell you when it's okay to not be worried anymore. But they never do. They always want you to worry and think the world is coming to an end at any day now.
So one of the first things that I tell students in communications for radio and stuff like, and even now when I'm telling people about how to explore going into this new world that you're preaching. The same three rules still apply. I don't care the same 3 rules of programming still apply.
Which are?
Get more people to listen. Keep those same people listening longer. And give them a reason to listen again.
Right.
SOS has not changed. So if I was going to say it in the streets, that would be the same old stuff. But y'all know I want to say another word, but I can't say it now but
you better shut your cotton picking self up.
It's the same thing. Get more, keep them, and give them a reason to listen again. That is the key to Monet to the fence girl, or staying viable in the communications industry. You know, and I think that's the first when I talk to my students, but when they're doing their internet shows, that's the first thing I tell, man, you got to get more people to listen to you. And then when in your programming, you got to give them something. You got to keep them there. And then you got to tell them something that's make them want to come back and listen to you again. There's so much competition out here now. But those same 3 still basic rules is still the same. They just color it up and dress it up differently. But it's still the same old stuff. And they tell you in sports and everything else, the first thing they tell you, you know, you can do this great or whatever great, but we all know that what's the boy named Stephen Curry is fundamentally sound. We all know that the boy Michael Jordan is fundamentally sound. We all know that LeBron James is fundamentally sound. Despite all this other great talent that they have, the fundamentals, the bottom line. See, what we tend to forget a lot of times is that the roots, and I've said this, you know, it's one of the things I'm going to say again. The roots of anything are in the ground. You can't see them.
Can I be your armor bearer when you get done?
and here's the thing real quick. I want the professor to continue because since class is in session, I would like the professor.
Down, boy. I just want to put the Bible in his water for him. That's all.
I know, right? Give him a prayer cloth.
Yeah, give him a prayer. Wipe your head.
I'd love to sit in on one of his classes. That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Here you go, Professor.
As soon as and both you and Mike, as soon as I get 10 up to 10 people, I'm gonna have you guys. We're gonna zoom you in, and I'm gonna let you all teach and share our knowledge with the students. You know, base as well too. But you know, I only got I got a small class size because we're still recovering from that pandemic. But whether I got 3, 10, 100, I'm pouring everything that I have in, and I'm going to give as much of the roots as I can. Okay, so just to move over, and I want to congratulate you, brothers, you know, on the panel, all of you cotton pickers. All you cotton pickers, I want to say to you all that we have gotten through an act one step closer to being realized as a human being. See, because after 200 times, after 200 discussions, they have decided that it's not good on the federal level that a black man has his life taken from him. They decided to create, or they decided to name or bring forward the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. And we all heard the story about Emmett Till in 1955, who went down to Mississippi, and his family his mother sent him down there, and he was accused of whatever. And that night, terrorists came to get the young man, and they beat him, stabbed him, mutilated his body, and barbed wire around his neck, and put a cotton gin fan to where he was in a river for allegedly whistling at a woman.
Not just a woman.
A white T woman. A white.
There you go.
And it took 200 years for us to be here after being 400 years. Now we've been here over 450 years, and so all that time we were never human. We were everything. Yeah, we were everything else but being a human being.
property.
Yeah. And so this particular act or this particular movement is cool, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. First of all, they calling it an act. I'm pissed off about that, but that reminds me of the Voting Rights Act. Every 50 years, they talking about whether or not we can vote. So that means 50 years from now, since this thing isn't a law, it's gonna be, well, it's time for us to kill the cotton pickers again. Let's go after the cotton pickers. Is it going to be open season on us again? So, and then the real irony came to me is that they want to always pass this now. It's during this election cycle, right? And you got these midterms coming up, and so they want to try to blow the minds out because they said it was unanimously passed by both the House and the Senate. So some of my brothers gonna say, "Oh man, the rep cons is cool," and then some of my other brothers gonna say, "Man, the Dem cons, they still love us, man."
Republicans and Democrats.
After 200 years, they're gonna let us come through. And notice that when I describe both parties, I said cons. I said cons. And the only reason why I call them cons is because we haven't put their feet to the fire. See, we forget that the most powerful entity in the American political system is the voting bloc. And the last time we became a bloc was to elect President Barack Obama. You understand? And they pandered. They came to us for our vote then. But now we done had that. It's back to whatever. And we're not asking them to cater to us with programs and stuff to get our vote. They feed us stuff to get us all excited and get us all emotional or whatever. So this emotion thing that they come and now is this anti-lynching Emmett Till thing. And so that's that. So it's gonna make it, okay, so now it's cool. After 450 years of y'all having our foot on our neck, now y'all want to recognize us and do something for Emmett Till. Come on now. We got to stop selling ourselves so cheap and you being so short. We got to speak truth to power. Look, we need more than what y'all got talking about right now, We need some more programs to help us to become self-sufficient. And then soon as one of our brothers, right, says, well, no, man, we don't need that. We need to slap him right in the face. Shut up, you cotton picker, and we got to have the power to start checking ourselves, to identify the turncoats or whatever, and tell them or just pull them to the side. Don't be mad at them. Just say, man, why don't you just shut up for a minute? Let's see what we can get first. And then you come out and bring your agenda. Just slow down. Just act like you don't see nothing for a few minutes. We got to get our own. We have to get our own people, both sides of the story. We got to strategically start learning how to use people in our own communities to help us to get what we want, because we get sold out on anything so fast. But I'm just glad, and I'm gonna throw it to you guys, that we have gotten closer to being recognized as a human being.
Let me dovetail what the professor just said. The bill they're referring to is the first legislation of its kind in more than 100 years that has a chance of being signed into law. Let me reiterate, 100 years. It is amazing that the fact that it was okay, obviously, to lynch, to mutilate, to kill, to do all types of evil, despicable acts to another human being. And all of a sudden, the act is possibly is about to be passed. So when these things happen, going back to what the professor said, it would be nice if we were able to all get in the room and clear the air. The late great Ozzie Davis used to have these dinner engagements with people like Malcolm X and Lorraine Hansberry and other dignitaries that would come by, and they would just all talk. And they would break some hearts, and they would be completely honest. And then before they left the dinner and discussion, where do we go from here? So no matter what your background is or who you are and difference of opinion, that's fine. But if we can possibly, and I don't know it's possible, if we could possibly get on one mission statement, one agenda, despite our differences, then we could bring truth to power. But we have too many people selling out, getting the almighty, what was it? Oh, yeah, Monet, and things of that nature. We'll never meet at the table because we let greed, power, money get ahead of the process. The process is to let everybody know that we are here for a reason. We are first and foremost human beings. And we are first and foremost a people with great power and great history. But if you don't know who the hell you are, you don't know where the hell you're going.
You know, Bass, I wish you could. I'm looking at Jerry's comment.
Yeah, I see it. Let me put it up real quick.
Yeah, and it says, you know, I somewhat disagree with blacks being human. And I kind of like might go along with that too, because when I'm looking at how you spell black, that blacks, that really doesn't exist. You know, because actually the definition of black means something painted, stained, or dyed. There's no proper noun or no proper name for blacks. What country is called black? There's no place that exists. I've always said that all the time. Don't call me that. But that means I have an absence of a country. What place on this earth is called black? You know, there's no country named that. If you're from Russia, you're Russian. If you're from England, you're English. If you're from Ireland, you're Irish. And if you're from black, you're what?
I just wonder if people are going to still be talking about this same thing 30 or 50 years from now. I know I say that all the time, but it's like, you know,
who's in power, Buck? Who's in power? I don't think the narrative will be changed until the power narrative changes. When we get a chance to control the message, then yeah, those things are changed. But as long as we're subject to the message of the oppressor, or as long as the oppressor is allowing us what flow of information we have to come in and out of our community, we're gonna always be subject to that.
I just think that and I just may be different, but I'm of the opinion that with this younger generation coming up, that minds are changing, that we're not still dealing with the same kind of thinking that we were 50 or 100 years ago.
Okay, now
personally, I could be wrong.
I love the sentiments towards the greatness of the youth, but sometimes I wonder if we all otherwise forget the fact that even though we're old, that we were once young too.
Yeah, but we were young at a different time period.
Ronnie Laws made a song called Every Generation. Every generation comes alive. So that doesn't make this next generation greater than what was. Again, I have to go back to what you don't see. The strength of the tree is not in the branches and the trunk, it's in the roots. What are the roots of whatever you're talking about? So if the young people, and I have to go back to another song from Billy Preston, who said, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So what something are we giving to our youth? Are we leaving to our youth the whatever everything else?
Excuse
Bless
me.
Bless
you.
you.
Are
Bless
we
you.
leaving for our youth everything, every other something? What are we
Bless you.
specifically giving to them? You know, because of other strong families, and I think we've said this already. They always leave something. It's called legacy. It's called legacy.
And one thing you got to remember, Buck, that if we do not keep reminding the next generation of what was once done to us by our oppressors, then when they begin to do it to that generation, they won't be able to recognize what's happening to them.
But I think it's falling on deaf ears, though, Ron. That's I think the problem is.
But somebody will hear it. Somebody will understand it. You know, it may not be everybody, but you know, somebody will understand it. You know, one of the things about this repeating itself, like we talked about this a little while ago, this bill was presented for vote 199 times. Okay, 199 times by the same person, Bobby Rush, retiring congressman from the South Side of Chicago. Okay, you know, he felt it was important to keep reintroducing this bill to get it to the floor for enough people to pass it. And they ignored it 199 times.
It's the same thing though with the ERA. The ERA has come up many, many times.
But on the 200th time, now whether they gave this to him as a departing gift because he's leaving, he's not running anymore. Okay. But he has now accomplished that as a legacy of his, one of the legacies, because he has many. Okay. Bobby Rush has always been an outspoken advocate for blacks, you know, for people of color, of African American descent, whatever they want to call themselves. He's always been an advocate. Okay. And to be able to get this done after 199 failed attempts, you know, that's something that is a major accomplishment, because guess what? So now, when those 3 European guys in Atlanta decide to run down a young man who's jogging in their community and decide to end his life, it is definitely a federal hate crime. Okay? Because they're going to continue to do things like that. But now you got the full weight of the federal government coming against them for executing that man, that young fella whose life they took. Now they can put the full weight of the federal government against them and say, okay, well, if the local government ain't got sense enough to pick up the charges, we got it. It's a federal hate crime. You're no longer allowed to lynch.
But you know what? I just sometimes I fear that we may, or at least I just feel like we may come across as a bunch of men that sit around and complain about stuff all the time, and yet we don't really offer any kind. We complain about racism and institutional racism and all the things that are wrong, but yet we don't necessarily come up with any kind of solutions. I really would like to see us as fairly educated, well, some of us very well educated people, come up with some solutions that may actually end up happening and or stick. That would help
I think that's a wonderful idea, Buck. You speak for the younger generation quite often. What do you suggest?
I don't know. I think it starts off. No, I mean, I think it starts off with us. I think it starts off with us concentrating on the things that are wrong. And I say this all the time. I just realized I sound real nasally now, because I just blew my nose. It starts off with us concentrating on getting our neighborhoods right and our families right, and building it up from the ground up instead of worrying about what happens at the top. You just said a minute ago, or was it maybe the professor said, it starts with the roots, and the roots are the family and your neighborhoods.
Well, now let me ask this question. Staying in the same vein of where you at. You're talking about the young people looking forward. Do you think that young people, or the generation that's present or futuristic, care about family as much as we do?
Unfortunately, no, Ron.
Okay. You said
I know,
the truth.
I know.
That you spoke the truth on. Because young people are very self-orientated.
Absolutely.
Self-orientated.
But we weren't too, though, when we were that age, though, weren't we?
No, because we had a family foundation that was solid.
We did, but young people, and even when we were 18, and this has been a long time since we were 18, but when we were 18, we thought about ourselves, and really it wasn't until we got older. What were you saying, Professor? I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. I mean, I love the dialogue, and I love to see where it's going on, but in the direction that it's going. But I don't want to point fingers, saying that the young people this and the young people that. I don't, let them make their mistakes.
Because they will grow. Right. I agree. 100%.
Let them make their mistakes. But they need to have some look towards us or what's before them, so they can make different. So what did Einstein say? To do the same things and then expect different results.
Definition of insanity, right?
So again, in our community, or with our community, our young people are controlled by something that we don't control. You understand? We don't control how much ownership of the media or what they see and hear, even books that they read, do we have? How much? So if we're depending on everything else to educate our kids, and we don't have any direction, or we don't have any control over what the flow of stuff coming to them, of course it's going to be nothing but chaos. We're not our own gatekeepers on any information that we have.
But Professor, if you talk to the students in your classes, you'll find out that a lot of if they're black students, and I can't speak for the Caucasians, but for the black students, if you ask them what influencers or what kind of media they consume, I guarantee you that most of them consume media from black influencers on the internet, and they don't even watch TV anymore. I guarantee you that.
Now listen, that doesn't, just because the outer cover means that says black, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's truly black, because BET is owned by Viacom.
I didn't say VT. No, they don't consume that.
I'm just giving you an example, because.
But they don't watch BET. That's mainstream media. I'm telling you, most of them are watching stuff like YouTube and TikTok all day long on their phones. They're not even watching TV. You tell them to watch something on the TV, they're like, "What? Why? I've got my phone. I don't need TV." I'm telling you.
I mean, and I agree. I agree with that, but that doesn't mean that chaos is going to lead to great education.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Something has to be standardized somewhere. And even us, and here's one of your solutions, even us as media practitioners, we need to learn to set standards or provide standards for these young people so they can critically think their
I
way
agree.
through these things.
I agree, but I think it's
We
falling on deaf
know
ears.
because we know the game. We've
agree.
seen the game
I
from
agree.
YT and our own experiences. We're the ones that need to talk to them. We
I
can't
agree. Oh,
leave,
yes.
we
Yes.
can't leave it up to the monster to teach. The monster ain't gonna do nothing but eat them up. They being ate up because they don't even know where they want to go themselves. Confusion and one more second, Ryan. Confusion and chaos. It's the old book by what's his name, Shake Town. Divide and conquer. That's it. Go ahead, Dr. Ron.
I can't wait to hear what Ron had to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I just want to put a scenario down because you mentioned something at the beginning of your conversation. You said that when we were young, 18, we didn't want to pay nobody no attention either. Okay, something similar to that. But we had a scenario that presented to us that we had no choice but to follow. And our ancestors, like Big Mama, used to make us come to her house on Sunday. And we'd have to sit there for Sunday dinner. And we'd have to listen to stories about grandpa, great uncle, people who got lynched, people who made it the trek from down south all the way up north. And they kept those stories alive in the family for a reason. Okay. So that we would understand what it would take in order to be able to be successful in whatever endeavors that we had in the future. Now, we was all knuckleheads at 16, 17, 18 years old, some even longer. But the point that I'm making is that the foundational gifts that we had in our families kept our legacies and our stories alive so that we can add on to them.
Good point.
Not to let them to deteriorate and fade away, because even now, if Mike Love starts talking, he gonna talk about his foundational gifts in his family. Chris Bates gonna do the same thing. He's gonna talk about his foundational gifts in his family. Because I love his uncle stories, boy. His uncle was my type of guy, but those were gifts.
How many of those dinners you think still happen, Ron?
But they need to be able to stories. They need to be regenerated, rejuvenated. Because if our future does not know about them, then guess what? They deteriorate. The further away you get from those stories, the less they begin to understand.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about Val. Val just said that there are a lot of people aren't having dinner over at Big Mama's house,
and it's sad. Like she said, it's sad. And I want to respond to I think that's Lee said, who's running to replace Bobby Rush. Jesse Jackson's one of his sons is running to take his spot, but there's other crowded people in the race, so it's undetermined who the front runners yet.
Yeah, real quick, you got ahead of me. That's great. So you talked about Jonathan Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson's son. Alderman Pat Dowell here in Chicago is also running for that position as well. Jonathan Swain, who is a local Hyde Park liquor store owner, I guess he'll have his voters go out and get drunk and go on and vote. Then also you have Karen Norrington Reeves, who is the CEO of Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. So it's getting loaded with various people coming.
Getting loaded. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, as an answer to the question about the young people, I think that we have plenty of examples of what a success story looks like, to be able to try and influence the future. Because, like Professor is saying, we can't just write them off. I ain't giving up on my kids, on my grandkids. I'm not giving up on them. I'm gonna leave breadcrumbs along the way for them to be able to find out information that they can nourish themselves off of in order to help, and I'm hoping that they become an influencer in their arena, whatever they choose to be as their arena, to be an influencer. Because it's not going to be, everybody's not going, because it's not going to be like a herd mentality. Like we talk about right now with this bug, this germ that's floating around, we need herd immunity. Well, we ain't getting it, okay? Not with our situation and what we need for our future. But there are going to be some that are going to be successful and going to make it. Go ahead, Professor.
Man, I think I done forgot, but I'm gonna. I think I done forgot, but
Yeah, that's what happens when you get old.
Yeah,
You get
that's
old,
one of them.
you gotta write that
awesome.
shit down, man. If you don't want
When you get old,
and I started to.
because I noticed, because see, first you had your finger up,
Yeah,
and then you put your finger down. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
then
wait a
it just
minute.
kinda
I
faded
forgot
down.
the fuck I'm getting ready to talk
I'm
about.
sorry. I'm sorry, Professor. I didn't mean
Ron Ron, you should have let him cut in, Ron.
Yeah, I'm
no,
sorry. But I was trying to make a point, and I think I got there eventually, because look, it was a hard time for me to get there,
Long time, as
Wait a
usual.
minute, but hold on. Just go over quickly a couple of the points again, and maybe that might click. I might be able to
That
click.
might jog your memory, right?
Yeah. We need Big Mama back. How's that? We
Okay,
need Big
go
Mama
a little
back.
bit further.
Go a
I
little
agree
bit
with
further.
You know when Big Mama
Okay.
said to go side the head? Oh, now I remember.
that. Yeah.
No, but here's the question: why don't we have? And now my family's kind of scattered around the country, but why don't we have Sunday dinner at Big Mama's anymore?
They don't even have dinner Monday through Friday, let alone,
That's true.
People, we are a fast food society. Come on now. I mean, everybody will grab me some McDonald's on the way home, and that's dinner. Popeye's got a special going on Tuesday. That's dinner.
You know what? Fast food don't taste the same way it used to, though, man.
Yeah, but the point, you asked the question
right.
about the ritual of dinner.
You better let Professor jump in.
Go ahead,
before he
Go
forgets.
ahead, Professor. Go ahead.
Listen.
I knew you'd get there.
No, I still haven't got there, but I'm gonna just say something. Maybe it'll just put me back in there if I even dealing
You
with
take notes. You need to take notes.
No, but I think all of us with our families have suffered this. Even with my family, we're scattered out. Once my grandmother had passed away, and once she passed away, and they put it with us, but we were young and we're gonna do our own thing. But some of the things like we still remember and want to do, but we're so scattered apart now. You got family in Atlanta, you got family in
Right, exactly.
North Carolina, and there's no central point that like for me growing up, the central point with me and my cousins was the house that my grandfather purchased. We would all go there and called it 524. And those kind of things, the society taught us to be individualistic about what about ourselves, but never told us to be individualistic towards preserving our own family.
But I think that comes with youth, how youth culture has kind of taken over society. Because think about it, youth is all focused in on
themselves. And I think that's kind of permeated, particularly with TV and how there's so many youth-oriented programs on there. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I agree.
Mad. I'm not mad with the youth. I'm not mad, and I'm glad they do what they do. But in order to make a difference in them, we got to show them something different. I'll always refer to Billy Preston when he said, "Nothing from nothing leaves nothing."
You referred to that like 4 times tonight, right?
You know, and so it's if they're not doing anything towards us, then the blame has to be on us.
Let me read this that Lee put up. Dinner at Big Mama's house ended when
Oh, yeah.
everybody got a cell phone. If you can get everybody to the house, they still bring the cell phone to the dinner table. That needs to stop.
Yeah, you
And-
need to
yeah,
collect
absolutely.
cell phones at the door. Be
At
like,
the
all right,
door.
cell phones right here. Yeah, exactly.
And put them all down Big Mama's breast. So you can't get
Lord,
I ain't going down to get it.
Lord.
Nobody going down there to get this.
I ain't go, and
My
don't put
phone
on
ring, Big
and
Mama
don't put
got
on vibrate.
Oh, man, my grandmother used to keep her money in her bosom.
That's
I'd
right.
be like,
Wasn't
hey,
nobody going
here you
down
go,
there.
baby.
Ain't nobody going down there.
Yeah.
But it was a coin purse. It wasn't just straight money. They had
No,
to
she used to keep my grandmother used to keep dollar bills down there.
Oh wow!
Here you go, baby.
Man,
Let me
you
let
had
me
a-
say
you
this.
had a look. You had a
Let me
good
jump in here for
grandma.
a second.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think one of the reasons why we don't have access to Big Mama time is that, remember, when all this was coming into play, segregation was at its highest. So we were limited at where we could go.
We're kind of
That's
forced.
why you were. Yeah, that's why you was at Big
That's
Mama's
good.
house.
Great point. Great
Yeah.
point.
You didn't have anywhere to go. So now that we're not dealing in as much of a segregated society anymore, you got other things to do. You got, girlfriends or boyfriends or husbands and wives or children to spend quality time with. So that eliminated that. But that's what got it there, because you didn't have anywhere else to go where you were going to have peace
That's
of mind.
right. That's
But here's another thing, though, too, and Val makes a good point, but also, too, it's not just with the African American community. All races are going through this whole thing where everybody's becoming completely self-centered. Talk to some of your friends that are not black, and they'll tell you the same thing. Everybody's kind of scattering and going and doing their own thing now. That's just kind of the way society's going.
Yeah, and I believe some of that. Go ahead, Professor.
Culturally, I would like to see. I would like to know how other cultures handle their elderly.
A lot better than we do.
You know, and
Some of them, but there are a lot of selfish people though.
Now, let me tell you something. Here in Texas, that's one of the great things. People always talk about Dallas because they don't know, and they think everybody's walking around, pushing steer and think this whole cowboy thing. And this area is very international, and that's what I really like about it, because you see Indian-based people, you see Mexicans, you see Asians, you see Africans. Just like Lee goes out and drive, I do the same thing. And that's what caused me to be late today, because I was stuck out there and was trying to hurry up and get back. And then I had to go to Costco and do everything and then try to eat to get back in here, to do what I had to do. And one of the situations is there's a community before I moved into my new home, there was a community that was being built right across the street from my apartment complex. And one of the things you would always see, and I guess maybe because the quality of jobs for Asians, Africans, and Indians are a lot better than it is for common whites and blacks, even in this country, because we don't write code and we don't do some of those things that these corporations really need. The point that I'm making is, while they're going to work, the Indian and the Asian couples, they leave their parents. They brought their parents over, and the parents are babysitting their children, and they're walking around these communities.
I was going to say the same thing, because Mexicans, you think Mexicans they have the same kind of family values that we're talking about here, but they all live in the same house, though, too. So
Yeah,
the
and
parents live with the kids and the grandkids, and they're all kind of in the same house. Same thing you're talking about here with the South Asians, the Indians, and the Asians.
There have been
Nothing wrong with that
many,
either.
there have been many great examples applied by other nationalities here.
Cultures.
absolutely.
There have been many great, and we've had them in our own community. But there's always this presence of evil that keeps us from being with one another. So we talk about, and y'all know I'm crazy about my music, right? And we talk about one of the greatest Black companies or entrepreneurs to ever create something, a man by the name Barry Gordy,
Absolutely.
who started an empire in the kingdom of Detroit, right? If you remember Richard Pryor's soliloquy on that. But here's the thing. How did he start that? See, we don't go deep. We see things, but we got to do the forensics and the etymology. We got to go to the beginning of it. Barry got his money from his family that they had their own credit union.
Wow.
He got a loan from his own family.
Yep.
So how much of that is being discussed within our own families? When
Zero.
people from other countries come here, the first thing that they do is they cohabit all in the
And
same
pool their money together. Right. Right. That's
in
true.
the same areas. Then they set up a loan bank for themselves.
Yeah.
And then they start buying property. So,
But now there is also some programs that make it easier for foreigners that are coming from other countries to do that too, and that sucks. That sucks because it's easier for them than even Black folks or white folks to get loans.
That's what you call nationality and birthright. You understand? They have a nation. Many of us don't have a nationality, so we cannot get those benefits that they have. See, because we're still labeled Black. But when a Nigerian comes here, he has a country.
Yeah, he's African.
Yes.
Yeah.
When a person from Iran comes here or India, they have a country.
Iranian.
Yeah, they have a country. So it's something about what they call that. What, Dr. Ron, you might can help me. You talk about that sovereignty or something like that that gets recognized by this country. That see, we're so busy, and I'm picking on you now, Buck. We're so busy focusing on the changes of the youth that we don't study what's already been.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know what's unfortunate? The youth picks up, and you said this, Buck, 1,000 times, how they're very curious to access of other products outside of NBC, CBS, and ABC. So they're going to YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok, and Instagram, and everything else. But they take it and they use it against us, not directly, but indirectly. So they have their own conversation. But you don't have a conversation of your own when you leave out your own people.
Yep.
It's part of it is our own fault that we don't really think like that. We don't think about, we don't talk about how to get ahead with the young people, how to get ahead. Or if we do, it falls on deaf ears because they're worried about stupid stuff that young people concerned about, clothes, cars, things that are superficial. It's just what young people do.
Yeah. Let me say,
I agree with you, but where's the balance? Even though that our youth are bombarded, we can't allow them to be bombarded so that they can't hear the voice of wisdom coming from their own kind.
Yeah.
Are they listening? Do they hear? I'm sorry.
Matter.
Go ahead, Ron.
It doesn't matter whether we're worrying about them listening. We have to keep the message out.
Yeah, we said got to tell them. That's true.
Yeah.
hopefully they'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's, in the vein of what Buck said about putting solutions out there. I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and we're talking about what other nationalities do. And I've seen it myself. I used to date a Filipino lady, and
Oh,
it
I
Yes, sir,
was
love
you
like,
did.
Filipinos. Oh,
yeah,
I love them.
it was like about 20 or 30 of them here in this country. They all were illegal aliens, and what they used to
Damn.
do, wherever they were working at, they would all pool, $1,000 a month, and everybody in that community had an opportunity to share with that pool, and everybody got a turn. And
But
then
we
it would
can't
feed.
seem to do that, can we, Ron?
But we need
Why
to
don't
start
we?
educating our people into understanding the benefits of that.
But we don't
Okay.
trust each other.
But
I
but
hate to
Buck,
say that.
but Buck, when you make a blanket statement like that, we don't trust each other. I mean, we can start with our brothers that are just here. If everybody put $100 up every month, and when Mike needs some money, he said, "Hey man, I need to tap that." Then we all don't have a problem with Mike having access to it, because we know he has fed into it, he has supported it, and he's going to continue.
I agree.
So you
I
lead
agree.
by example, Buck. And if we start taking
I
our
agree.
grandchildren, if we lost our children, okay, I'm not ready to write my children off, but if we have lost our children, then we start with our grandchildren, okay? And we say, look, this is what we're going to do. Everybody in the family is going to put $100 up every month. And I'm talking small money, and then by the time you need some money, because I can remember going back 1,000 years, my
You
grandmother.
can remember going back 1,000 years?
Of course, he's
Yeah.
that old.
Yeah, that's just a figure of speech.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah, but I remember.
It's technically only 500 years, but
Yeah, I remember my oldest sister being able to go to my grandmother and get a cosign or a loan to get a car every time she asked for one. Okay. When I got to the age where I was ready to ask for that help, oh no, I don't do that no more. So the well had ran dry. So I understand what that felt like. You know what I'm saying? Not to be able to have the same benefits that my older sister had, and I witnessed it, So I'm like, okay, so what we need to do as putting something together going forward, because we'll get our young people attention if we say we got some money.
Right.
Hello.
Now, see, you got a fearless leader stepping in, talking about good idea, Ron. I will put up the first 100. This is Lee Michaels talking, so
okay,
you got him going there.
All right, well, good.
Where's it gonna be at?
It just needs to be available when it needs to be available.
I'll keep it.
No.
No, let's go back to Buck's point. We don't trust each other.
But we can even if we deposit it in one of them what they call it, black savings and loans or whatever, it doesn't make any difference, as long as whoever is the trustee of that account understands what the premise of this account is. And like I said, if we are trying to put suggestions together for our future generations and our young people, what better way to get their attention by saying, hey, we got money,
Well, I
because
think you take it. I think, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you take it to a higher level of what you just said. Lead by example.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Exactly.
sir. Because we're looking for solutions, right? Ain't that what the question was?
But I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is it just me, or is it the statement that I'm about to say true or false? And I'm thinking it's true, but maybe you might think it's false. we can't really get along. We generally don't really get along.
Who?
And black people. Why or why not?
I'm not going to
Address.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna just take myself out of that black people because I'm neither nothing painted, stained, or dyed.
African Americans.
That either, because they what country is named Africa?
You gotta say human beings, so
Right.
that you get his attention, right?
Where the level of trust comes into place is going back to what we said a few minutes ago about leading by example. And I will open a bank account with the bank that we all agree upon. That's what
Lee's saying.
Lee is saying now, and that's all well and good. But the point that I think Ron was making was being self. What we do in our own families. You see what I'm saying? That's a great gesture that Lee is making amongst us. But what we do in our families, whoever the matriarch in the family right now needs to take the lead position and say, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And it's very difficult to get that done because there's a scatter of information. And see, when because I said so has been almost eliminated, you don't get a way to bring that millennial back into play and say,
it's
hold
hard.
on a second. It's
hard.
very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And that's where we keep running into these problems. We come up with the solutions, but the reason that we can't push the button to make the solutions work is because we've lost total control. Because Jay-Z
they can't get him to show up.
Well, here's the deal. Jay-Z is the daddy now. 50 Cent is the daddy now. Cardi B is Big Mama now. These are the people who are influencing the young adults, and not just African Americans, but adults across the board. I mean, millennials across the board, because that's where their level of trust is. They want to be like them. They see the success, and all they can see is, I could do that too. Go ahead, Professor.
And they were selected.
Of course they were.
Right.
They weren't selected, but they weren't selected by African Americans. They were selected
absolutely, because their position is to maintain the buffer.
Yeah, they were selected by corporations. Go ahead.
I want to be fair. I want to be fair because for the past couple of episodes, Mike Lowe's been very diplomatic because we won't have enough time for Mike. So I want Mike to do your thing before we get out of here. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Well, the thing of it is, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But it's almost in this vein because tonight I was going to talk about the hoodie. I don't know what the hell's going on with the hoodie, that it going back to the millennials and like I said, it's not even a black, white, or brown thing. Everybody's putting this hoodie on, and it's like they're in this shell, and we can't get them out. And we're getting away from communicating. I mean, I'm out here and I'm driving, and I mean, this hoodie thing it's getting scary.
But it's cold.
That's bullshit. That ain't what that whole thing is about. Now, I don't know what where the temperatures are where you're at, but now this weekend in Dallas is going to hit 27. Last weekend it was 80 something plus degrees. Oh, yeah. Hoodie. It doesn't matter what the temperature is. They've got this thing where they've taken the hoodie and that's the shelter. And I want to know what the hell's inside that hoodie that's so important that you can't communicate with somebody. You got to put this hoodie on. You're walking down the street like you don't even know anybody else exists on the planet.
I'm going to ask my students that, because one of my students doing one of their speeches came up with the hoodie, and I made the student. I didn't make, but I asked the student. I said, "Listen,
take it off.
Yeah, reveal yourself.
Reveal yourself.
Reveal yourself. I love it. I love you. You hit it on the head. And like I said, thanks again, Chris. I didn't need to amp for any time, but that's where I was
just
going.
To be fair.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But we're all brothers. not only in Christ, but in spirit and in the entrepreneurship of the things that we all do, because all of us are independent. None of us work for iHeart. None of us work for Odyssey. None of us work for Westwood One. We're all individuals here.
Well, I work for Odyssey, but the thing is, though, I was thinking that maybe Catholic monks used to wear. They weren't called hoodies back then, but they would have themselves covered up because they.
There's one thing.
But I'm saying maybe it's the same intent to kind of keep themselves low key. Is that not it, low key?
Well, the thing of it is, when you go back and you look at religion, and the reason that the nuns wore habits and the priests wore what they wore, that was to avoid the temptation of the adversary working on someone else to get to your power and your blessings. This is totally different. These people that are walking around with the hoodies on, it's almost like this veil that they've created for themselves to say, when I'm in this hoodie, don't bother me, leave me alone. This is my world. And I think it's just when you start, for the last hour and 45 minutes or 50 minutes, we've been talking basically about communications. How do we communicate amongst ourselves to start a credit union in our family, or to understand when things are voted on that affect us? What did Jed say? Mike Love is perhaps like Temple. What is that? Granding?
Yeah, Granny. She had issues with feeling comfortable inside and in the world, and created advice for herself. She invented for herself. It's like a coping mechanism.
You know what? And I believe that that's what it appears to be. Jed, you hit the nail on the head. But why the coping mechanism for the five of us that are on this screen, the way we cope is by how we communicate. That's what we were taught. We're all,
but they don't have, maybe a lot of these younger ones, they don't have the communication skill.
And they don't.
So when do we teach them?
There you go. Come on.
When do we teach them?
Do they want to be taught?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think they do.
Wait a minute. Okay.
That's not the question anymore, whether they want to be.
Thank you. Because we didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice whether we wanted to be taught or not.
Right.
We were taught.
Yeah.
And we suffered the consequences when we didn't. Okay. And I'm finna tell on myself real bad. The teacher lied on me so bad, they made me do first grade all over again.
Wow. Okay.
Now, what do you learn in first grade? What color is red? What color is green?
Nothing.
you know what I'm saying? First grade.
Right. Waste of time.
But because the teacher didn't like me, she convinced my mama
punishment
to keep me back another year. You see what I'm saying?
You understand what it is, because it was the punishment. It wasn't because red turned colors when you went back the second time. It was the punishment. And the thing of it is, I'm not saying that we should be punishing anybody, but the fact of the matter is, as reach one, teach one. When you have the opportunity to teach someone, that's where you start to open doors. And that's why when we were talking about these other races, that when they bring their culture in, that culture is a teaching mechanism. So I'm coming out of my apartment complex. I can see these new homes across the street. I'm seeing the Indian father walking with his wife 10 steps behind. Now, it looks weird to us, because if you leave your girl in our culture behind, she may not be there when you turn around. Amen. Or she may hit you in the back of the head with a bottle or a rock.
Amen.
But the thing of it is, it's a level, it's teaching respect.
We want her in front so we can look at her butt when she's walking.
Exactly. But the thing of it is, the point I'm trying to make is, and what Ron and Professor and Chris just said, it's the level of respect. How do you get the respect into place so you don't have to hide? See, you're hiding because of your fear. And then I want to go back and talk about you know, when we're talking about I forgot what the word is. I'm like professor. I get to a point where the word I can see it, and I just can't say it. You know, one of the things in our society today that we're struggling with, and let's just call it what it is. I was going to use the word spade, but I don't want to do that. Let's call it what it is. The reason that European Americans don't want to see progress from African Americans is a level of fear, because there has to be an equalization of prosperity, and they don't want that. And you got to stop fighting it, because Amazon take money from everybody. Lyft don't turn nobody down from wanting to be transported from point A to point B. Walmart lets anybody in that can scan a code and purchase merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
So why should we now let a race of people come in because they're scared to death that they're no longer going to be the power to have a level of resistance against what God has created in humans, not in just black folks, not in white folks, not in green folks, not in brown folks. It's the equalization is here. It's standing before our very eyes. You cannot buy anything in any of these stores until they scan the freaking barcode. And they don't give a damn who passes it to the cashier. Roop, roop, roop. Stick your card in. You got the money in the account. It's approved. Color, race, none of that came into play to make that transaction. None of it came into play to make that transaction.
I want to read off again what Lee just typed in a little while ago. It's our responsibility to teach the next generation and generations after them for that period. Let's recognize and get busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you know what, though?
Yeah.
But Mike, you know, I don't know. I think that you might be giving people a little bit too much credit. I don't really think that just my personal opinion, I don't think they're even thinking about us. I think they're thinking about themselves.
They're living in
I don't
fear.
think they are. I don't think they are. I think
They're
that they're
absolutely living. Think about power.
I don't think they are.
Wait a minute. Who is they now? Who is they you talking about?
white tea,
Oh, okay.
as you say. I don't think that. I don't even think they're thinking about us like
the
that.
European aspect of the world, you know, because once again, when Africans come here, when all other Indian-based Asians come here, they only come here for one thing to do is have an opportunity to make money.
Right.
They come here for opportunity to make money and to have freedom that they don't have.
It's the land of opportunity. That's what the United States is known for.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah. But I'm saying I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about white people looking at black people saying we don't want them to have anything. I don't think they're thinking about that at all. I don't think that at all.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
guess
they're
what,
thinking that at
bro?
all.
They scared of us every day, bro. Don't you
Every
ever?
day.
I think they're maybe scared of us robbing them.
No,
Like when a white woman's walking down the street, she sees a black person. I don't.
Look, they're from
I just don't think.
from their playbook is that we have to keep fear in the hearts of all of our people, so that they will always, attack us before we attack them.
Yeah,
So I think that's an old way of thinking. I think that's an old way of thinking.
Reality check.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
That's why in the plantation mentality, okay, they were always small in numbers, okay, but they use intimidation and fear to try and keep the numbers of slaves that they had under their control.
That was hundreds of years ago, Ron.
No, it's
today. But it stays.
It's today. Bro, when's the last time you seen a commercial for a Republican running for something?
Okay, all the time.
Okay, so
Whenever
what
there's
is
an
the
election.
first thing they say? We're not going to defund the police. We're going to put criminals in jail. And then they put an image of a black person up.
Do they?
If
Yes,
not,
sir.
if not a Hispanic. I mean, you're sitting here. I was in the car today with a guy. He's Mexican, and we were talking about this, and we were just talking about the whole thing, the contribution that they make. Because I always talk about these 4 homes that are being built across from my house. There's nothing but
See, I agree with Dennis, by the way. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron.
There are
Mike.
nothing but Mexicans on the property. They can build a house in 60 days or less in flat. No whites, no blacks on the property. They're not being supervised. There's no European guy out there with the white hat on, with the blueprint sitting on some table. They come in, they know what they got to do, they do it, and they get out. They ain't sitting around, they ain't being lazy. They got a porta potty right on the property. They go right there and they use the porta potty. They have the lunch thing. What do you call that when they come around with the little truck selling food?
Food truck.
The food truck. Yeah, they come around with that.
Roach
The
coach.
lady, what is it?
Roach coach.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, the lady, it's a lady in this area. She comes around, she pulls up to the house, she blows the horn twice. If none of them cats come out, she goes to the next construction site. It's all and it's all synchronized in a way. Synchronized in a way that's incredible. I mean, it's nobody sitting here trying to figure it out. I wanted to say it's cemented into their system and it's synchronized where they don't even have to ask any questions. Sorry about that. I threw 2 words together, but that was basically where my head was at. Because, sometimes you got to ask yourself, why are you doing things? They don't ask those questions. Somebody is giving them a job, some builder. The builder knows who these people are. He says, here's the plan. And in 60 days, he's collecting $200,000-$400,000.
It's done. It's done.
Done.
Hey, and you know what? Mexicans have a work ethic that's out of this world.
It's out of this world. Nobody's over there telling them what to do.
Right.
Nobody's telling them what to do. The only reason that suppression was brought in us with picking cotton is because you didn't give it to us as a job. If you'd have came and said, you're going to make $5 an hour, we brought you over here, here's the cotton, put it in this thing, put it in the cotton gin, do that, we never would have had racism. Think about it.
Yep.
If they had been just up front and said, we need some help, man. We need cotton seems to be a textile that we need for our clothes and for everything we need. Can you help us?
Well,
Man,
but
stop giving them all the credit, man. Stop. Let's stop. Let's talk
Giving
about
who all the credit?
whoever it
Mexicans,
is. What?
Latinos.
Yeah, let's stop giving everybody else the credit.
Well, what
Man,
I'm saying, but
I
I'm
love
talking
you,
about
brothers,
the system.
man.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying the system. I'm talking about the system. I'm not talking about people. I'm saying systematically. Everything we do, you cannot buy a car unless it is financed or you pay cash for it.
Yeah.
Everything that you purchase is contract at some level.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna throw this plug out for this movie, and I ain't making no money off this movie at all, but it's a reality check. Antebellum.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's a reality check. Go look at it. If you don't think that their mentality is not the same today,
I hate that movie. And Ron got me to watch it.
At that movie.
And you know what? And I'd say just the opposite. Don't watch that. Some bullshit.
But it's a reality check. It's a reality check.
No, it's something that that happened hundreds of years ago.
No,
and
that's where you didn't watch it all the way through. You watched the
hell
opening.
no. I watched it. It was some bullshit. I turned it off.
Because you don't understand the entire movie. That movie is going on in nowadays, not in past tense.
I couldn't get through it, Ron. In all due respect, All
No,
due respect,
look,
I couldn't
look,
watch it
look.
all the way through. It was,
Ju-
it made me
just
mad.
to help you out.
All right, time out. See, because
Now look, let me help him out. Go look at the trailer, and it'll help you understand the entire movie. That's what you need to do. If you don't want to watch the whole movie, but go look at the trailer so you can understand what the message is, because it is a message.
Without a doubt. Put the chat back up, can you, Chris?
Which one?
It was something about
And in 7 years.
yeah. What is that?
And in 7 years, they call Devereaux Construction to fix that substandard work.
Well, I mean, nothing is perfect, and I'm not defending them. I'm just saying that systematically, that's what is being. That is where the problem is that they're afraid that if the system goes into place, they will not be dominant as a race. And I didn't mean that to rhyme.
Right.
That's all
I just,
I'm saying.
all I'm saying is that I don't necessarily agree with some of the. Well, I wish we could have some positivity coming out of this show to come up with some sort of solutions or
We
something.
came up with the solutions.
What was
Quite a
that?
few. Quite a
Did I miss it?
Raise
Yep.
money in your own community.
Oh, right.
And your own family.
Yeah. I don't want
your own
to.
family.
I
yeah.
just don't like all. I mean, we do so much complaining, and raising awareness. Yes,
That's what I was doing. I wasn't complaining. I'm just raising awareness about
But to
fear.
me, right. But sometimes it sounds a lot like complaining, and we don't have solutions. And I just wish we're all very intelligent brothers. I wish we could come up with more solutions.
Not
than-
me.
I disagree with you.
I ain't
150%.
intelligent. Not me. I ain't intelligent.
You just a cotton picker. Sit your
Yeah,
ass down.
I'm just a cotton picker. You know,
Yeah.
Cotton picker professor.
Look,
No,
as
Buck,
much,
I understand what you're saying, but once again, I'm not in agreement with that because I think this show comes up. It's somebody put up, Chris, that they were talking about it being informative. That's our job. It's not for us to come up with solutions. Our job is to bring issues to the table that will get people to think.
yes.
That's it.
and let them come up with the solution.
And let them come right.
man.
You can't come up with a solution for billions of people. Let them think about it. Let them think about, damn, let me call Big Mama and see if we can go to her house for
Do
Thanksgiving.
Do
Nothing
it.
wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
And look, and guess what? If most parents have written off their children, deal with their grandchildren.
Have they? Wow.
I'm just saying because
Oh,
we
they
were talking
doing
about
it.
a solution. We're talking about solutions. If you can't get through to your kids, get through to your grandkids.
A lot
That's
of
the
them are
solution.
doing that.
Now,
At least
in-
try. At least
some-
try.
In
Right.
some parts on the continent of Africa, culturally, some of the children are raised by the grandparents
Yes.
because
Here too.
the parents have to work. And their belief is that the wisdom flows from the elder, not from the parents, because the parent is still busy working and providing. So we have to, the hierarchy within our own communities, we gotta set that up. You know, we gotta bring our elders. We gotta put our elders back on the throne. Because I think we got this same line mentality, which is really not cool. Some of the elders got to be put up. If you're an elder, you got to be respected as that elder, whatever you did, you got to have that status. And we have to start breaking this stuff down and leading by example. And one of my solutions, and I do this all the time, I'm going to talk to the young people. I don't care what they're doing, but we can't give them license to do what they do when we know some of the things that they do ain't right. And we don't necessarily have to say, oh boy, you wrong, this, that, and other. We just have to play Hansel and Gretel and try to lead, hopefully, that they have something in them that when we present them with another solution, that they can see it. So it's really all a crapshoot. But we cannot. I refuse to think that the kids nowadays. I got a 14-year-old daughter, right? I'm not going into that thinking that she's gonna do all this, that, and other. When I was a young person myself, and I was just as crazy as she was, you know. And
We believe it.
in my day at 14. So the one thing that what I'm looking for now as a parent, I'm looking to see me in this kid. And so there's nobody that knows better how to deal with me than me. And I'm going to talk to me in my baby. And I'm going to reach my baby through me.
Amen.
All
That's where it
right.
comes
I
from.
like that. I like that.
That's it.
Real
Put
quick
that back up that Jerry said.
Which one?
Chris, if you don't mind.
Those Mexicans?
Yeah. Let me, because I can
Oh,
speak
okay.
for myself.
Go right
This
ahead.
ain't no. It was after that he said something about taking up for them or something to that effect.
Stop
This
praising them.
Yeah, here's it right here. Yeah, stop praising
Stop
them.
praising them. This ain't about praising them. We're talking about ethics. We're talking about things that we have to do as humans. We're talking about fear. These are the things that we're talking about. I use them as an example, and I'm sticking with the example. I don't care what you say, because as far as I'm concerned, I've watched it. And what has to happen is all of us need to take that same mindset. This ain't about praising Mexicans. This is about people. When people decide, whoever you are, when you want to do something, you got to go out of your way and do it and concentrate on it. It's been unfortunate. It's been unfortunate that we've been affected in a different way, that sometimes we think our vote don't count, or we don't go after something because we're not qualified for it, or we don't have no way to get over there. You got to go the extra damn mile. That's who I'm taking up for. I'm taking up for people who take the time to go the extra mile. If you do that, it don't matter what color you are, what country you from. Go the extra damn mile.
All right, Mike Love.
That's it. Just go the extra mile.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then the success stories, or the things that we want to make examples of. I mean, we got to start being ebony and jet with ourselves again.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's what I'm talking about, right?
You know, we gotta be ebony and jet, right? Since that print magazine done went down, we don't even know about the society page no more.
Exactly.
We don't
know
the
beauty of the damn week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely.
Yes. The beauty of the week.
Now, why in the hell you want to say that, Mike? Because Dr. Ron was doing all right. And all of a sudden he raised up from me. He's like,
yeah, he was all
yes.
Look.
Yes.
As Professor would always say, there's a song to exemplify the truth. Okay? And say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
That's it.
Okay, the beauty of the week was the beauty of the week. It showed us black beauty and pride. Okay,
and that just brings me to think about that. Really, how important was ebony and jet to us?
Oh my God!
Very.
We ain't got enough time tonight to even cover that.
Well, we'll have to table that. How really important?
We're overtime now,
right?
Yeah.
No, every house you went into, every black home you went into, there was an ebony or a jet on the coffee table, kitchen table, or somewhere in that damn house.
Yep. Went to the grocery store and didn't even have no money just to look at this in the beauty of the week.
Yep.
But
how important was that? And then see, that was another legacy that got away from us.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, that was a legacy that got away from us. Now, and I don't know why, and I don't know how, but preserving the legacies of whatever institutions that we have. I mean, we could even start with black banks, How many black banks that you know were once was that are no more? So those of us, that's something that we can begin to put on the table. But there's a lot of competition that draws us away from the unity of ourselves. The enemy is very clever.
Yeah.
He is very clever. He is very clever, because the one thing that the enemy does not want to be seen is us to be unified in any kind of way, especially us here.
Yep.
Because
That's
for what we endured and what we survived, if we ever were able to come together, we would take over the world. We would make the world.
And that's where, and we can wrap it up right there. That's where the fear is.
Absolutely. Our fearless leader typed, "Great show, team. Thank you." And thank you out there for being a part of this. Of course, you have been a part of Street News Now, SNN. 6 Guys and You. We congregate every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Make sure you go to YouTube and type in SNN, Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Also catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and also on Twitch. For Dr. Ron Ford, for Professor Reggie Miles, for Mike Love, for Buck Wilde, and our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, I'm Chris Bass. Take care and continue to be peaceful. Have a good one.
All right.